Hi, my name is Valerie, and this is my 18th video on my no-poo experience. So my first no shampoo shower was June 1st of 2009, where I used baking soda and apple cider vinegar, and it dried out my hair too much, so I decided to try other things. My last recorded video was December 16th of 2009, where I used witch hazel and water only. So I spritzed some witch hazel into my hair before I got in the shower, and I let it sit in my hair too long before rinsing it out, I think. And because it dried, I don't think it got out as much of the oil as it should have. But since then, my schedule's been a little wonky because I went home to visit family for Christmas, so I was trying to adjust my schedule to leaving and seeing everybody. So there were a couple days where I went 5 or 6 days without taking a shower, just so that I could take a shower before I saw people and be fresh and clean. So before I left, I used egg and apple cider vinegar, and then while I was home, I used egg and lemon juice because they didn't have apple cider vinegar at my parents' house. And then when I came back, I didn't have any eggs in the house, so all I used was mustard powder, and I used tea and vegetable glycerin, and I used tea and mustard powder and vegetable glycerin all mixed together to see if that would change things. And I think adding the mustard powder to the steeping tea helped a little bit, but it still wasn't as good at cleaning my hair out as egg. But that's an interesting thing to think about. And then today is January 8th of 2020. And if you think about it, that means there's only 4 more months until I have done this for an entire year. So I think that's pretty neat how I originally was just going to do these videos for a month when I first started, and it turned out to just be a continuing saga. And we'll see how long it takes us to try everything that I can get my hands on. But today we're going to use some new ingredients. We're going to use mustard powder like we did before, but we're also going to use coffee grounds and cinnamon powder. Now the recipe says to use cinnamon oil, but I don't have it and I didn't want to go out and buy it. So I'm going to try using cinnamon powder instead, and we'll see how that works. So the other thing is the recipe is not clear on whether or not I should be using coffee grounds or brewed coffee. It just says to use coffee. So I looked up other recipes on using coffee, and they all say use coffee grounds. Now, one thing that I think supports this in the original recipe, it says don't use instant coffee. So I have a feeling that yes, you are supposed to use the coffee grounds, and that it's supposed to be kind of an exfoliant to get dandruff off of your scalp and kind of clean the roots. So we're going to be making a paste with these things and water and just apply them to the roots of our hair, and we'll see how that goes. So I've got all my ingredients here. I have my husband's coffee because I don't drink coffee. So we have Folgers medium roast, we have ground mustard, we have ground cinnamon, and then we have some hot tap water. This is about half a cup. This is probably going to be a lot more than we're going to use. And I have my teaspoon. And we're going to use a teaspoon of each dry ingredient because the mustard and the coffee are supposed to be a teaspoon of each. But the cinnamon, because it's supposed to be cinnamon oil, it tells us that we are supposed to use 2 or 3 drops. The cinnamon oil, or any sort of oil, is much more concentrated than the powder itself. So that is why I'm just going to use 1 teaspoon to hopefully get the full effect of the cinnamon. And then we are going to pour some hot tap water in. Now the recipe just says to use water, but I figured hot water would help to get all of the essential oils that are in our ingredients ready to go and affect our hair and scalp in a positive way. Oh, maybe I added too much water. Well, that's okay. I'll let it sit for a few minutes and see what happens. It's actually really runny. You're supposed to make a paste, not runny mess. But if you've been watching this, you know that my guessing skills when it comes to measuring liquids is not all that great. This is not flour, so I don't think it's really gonna set up and get thicker. So I will just let it sit for a few minutes and we'll see how it goes on our hair. It looks like a very chunky version of ice cream, like liquid ice cream. Alright, so this is what my hair typically looks like after I've used egg. It's definitely looking stringy, but it looks a lot cleaner. And I will say that because I've been doing this for a while now, and it's not, I just started this yesterday, at 4 days in, my hair looks a lot less oily than back in June and July, especially, through October when I was at the campground there and my hair just looked awful. I definitely wouldn't say that my hair is movie star hair, but if I answered the door and I didn't have my hair up, people probably would just think, oh, she needs a shower, not, oh my gosh, she needs a shower, it's so bad. We've got clumpiness going on, but it's definitely a lot better. It's a lot lighter in color. When I use other ingredients that are not egg, like say tea and glycerin or mustard powder, any of the other ingredients, my hair looks a lot darker because of the lack of stuff being washed out of my hair. Ooh, that was a knot there. But I'm really excited to see how this new concoction with the coffee and the cinnamon is going to do. Coffee is supposed to be pretty cleansing and it's supposed to be really stimulating to your scalp. It's supposed to help with hair growth. Not to mention that coffee does color hair, and they say that girls who have blonde hair, it tends to make your hair kind of bronzed and not so blonde looking. And for girls who have brown hair or black hair, coffee is really good for helping to darken it. So that would be an interesting thing. Probably the staining will be a lot more noticeable with brewed coffee. So if you try that, you could probably use it to help you color your hair naturally. Just like some people who use henna, they put it in their hair to dye their hair, but it also is supposed to be cleaning your hair in the process because that's a mud. But I don't think it's going to take out too much oil. And we'll see how it is, but I am excited. It's going to make my hair smell really nice. So the thing with this is you put it in your hair, you let it sit for a little bit, and then you rinse it out with just water. This recipe does not ask for any sort of acid to combat anything because technically coffee is an acid by itself. And the mustard powder also is not supposed to be washed out with anything extra, although I did find when I used mustard before that it kind of got stuck in my hair a little bit, and using some apple cider vinegar or lemon juice probably would have helped with that. So we'll see how this turns out. I'm actually really excited for the cinnamon because when I was mixing that together, the cinnamon smelled really good. So if anything, my hair is going to smell nice, and I will just have to see how it turns out. The coffee mixture didn't get firm like I was hoping it would. It was just kind of a runny, slurry mixture, and that's my fault. I put too much water in there. So I just kind of dipped my fingers in it to cover my fingers, and I rubbed it in, part your hair, rub it in, part it somewhere else, rub it in, and I was able to get good coverage on my scalp, which is nice. If you decide to do this though, get a finely ground coffee. What I used was more of like a medium ground, so I had some really big pieces. And when I went to go rub it in, I kind of put a lot of pressure, so it was kind of rough on my scalp, and my scalp did not like it. It burned, and it was more than just the tingle when I used the mustard powder by itself. So be nice to your scalp. It doesn't do anything bad to you. Though I will say my bathroom smelled really nice. It smelled like a coffee shop, and the cinnamon was really represented, and so it kind of smelled more like a coffee cake, but it was pretty nice. But real quick, I just want to go back and say, earlier in the video when I was talking about the effects of the coffee on your hair, I said a girl with blonde hair or a girl with brown hair or black hair. What I should have said was anybody with blonde hair could have their hair affected, or anyone with darker hair. The coffee will help to stain your hair so that it's like natural coloring. I didn't mean to do that. I guess because I'm a girl, I figure the majority of people who are going to watch my videos are girls, and so that's why I said girl instead of people or anybody. And so I apologize for that. I just wanted to make sure that everybody was included in this video. While I was rinsing the ingredients out of my hair, it didn't really feel like a lot of oil had come out of my hair, and I guess I didn't really expect that. But I'm hoping that it at least took a lot of the oil that's right next to the scalp, because that's where I applied it. So I'm hoping that the acidity from that coffee and the effects of the mustard did help to kind of at least wash away a lot of the dark stuff on top, and maybe at least freshen up my hair a little bit. So I'm a little worried that it didn't do much, but we have to try and stay positive, right? So we'll see how this goes. So my hair is dry now, and you can probably see there is oil still left in my hair. It's still pretty stringy. But if we remember, the paste was supposed to go on your scalp and rubbed into your scalp. And if I look at my scalp, it's actually pretty light right here. It starts getting dark up out here, because this is the part that was closest to my scalp, so that's where that paste got to. And it actually feels pretty clean up here. It looks a lot lighter because there's less oil, and it actually feels very similar, not quite the same, but very similar to when I use egg in my hair, which means it's pretty clean. There's a lot of oil that came off. So I think that for people who have very short hair, this would be a really good substitute. So you'd have to try it out for yourself. But that's actually really exciting. So I think in the future, if I was going to try this again, since I have really long hair, I'd want to try doing the paste again, but obviously more paste so I can cover more hair. But also I think I'd really want to try using like brewed coffee to see if that would really help with the length of my hair as well. So this actually is quite exciting. When I did it, I scrubbed it in and I just kind of left it there while I cleaned the rest of my body. And so I'm really excited that it came out really nice. Like I can even tell, like on the front where I got it a little bit better, it kind of it's a little farther down, because not only did I scrub it here, but then I like changed the position of the hair to scrub at some other sections. Obviously, there's a couple of places where I didn't do such a good job scrubbing it in, but that's just because it was a new product and I was not doing the best job. So I give mustard, coffee, and cinnamon powder big thumbs up. I would totally try this again, and I hope that if you do it, it works even better for you. Have a nice rest of your day.